Draymond, what changed in the fourth quarter for you guys, and what does it say that you guys were able to overcome the game that their backcourt had and still get a win?
Well, I think it started with our crowd the entire game kept us in it, because those guys were hitting shots that, it usually drains the life, out of the building. And our crowd brought it from the beginning to the end. So we were able to feed off that until we were able to get our ground. And then it started with the energy of JaVale there in that third quarter. And although they made a run at the end to close it out, our energy transferred over. And then David came in, and he was huge on those ball screens. Damian couldn't get downhill anymore. CJ couldn't get downhill anymore. And we was able to get a grip, and then we went on a 15-2 run.
Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Draymond, you mentioned the fans and their support. It seemed like there were a lot of times tonight when they got more excited by a block of yours or that play when guys were diving on the floor than, hitting a three-pointer. Do you notice and appreciate that as a player?
Absolutely. You definitely notice it and appreciate it for sure. Because that spirits us as well. You get a play like that and, the entire crowd goes nuts. Or one of the worst feelings is when you do this and no one stands up, but they were there every time for us. And, it gives us energy as well, and continue to do it and do more. And all of a sudden we hit a shot and they're going crazier. And then we come back down, get another stop, and they're even louder. And, that helps us out a lot.
What does it feel like, either emotionally or physically, when you get the block by putting your hand directly on the ball, when you block them right at the rim as opposed to when you swat it out of the air?
When you block it at the rim, it's a little different because that's one of those plays where you're within a half an inch to a centimeter of being dunked on. And so when you actually come up with the block, it's a bit more excitement. When you're coming across and you get a swat, that's usually weak side. You come across the top and you get a swat out of bounds. But at the rim, it's mano a mano, man against man, who's going to win the battle. And to win that battle is just a different type of emotion.
The one on Dame in particular, do you hear anything?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear anything.
Not your hand on the ball or his reaction or anything?
Oh, no. I heard the crowd. That's about all I heard. Everything else, pretty much it.
When it's, Durant and Curry come out at the start of the second, start of the fourth, and you're in that kind of vet lineup, do you know that has to be a defensive lineup?
100%, and that was the whole thought behind going with that lineup, for Coach Kerr. He said it to me. He said, the defensive intensity that this lineup can bring, it can change the game for us. And so we went to it earlier in the year when KD was still healthy. It started working for us, and it was on the defensive end. Getting back to it, at this point in the season, we knew the offense was there. We had 88 points at the end of the third quarter. But the problem was they had 88 points. So we knew we had to come out and get stops if we were going to ever pull away in that game and, start that quarter off. That group did it. And then we were able to knock down some shots, but it started with our defense.
Draymond, McCollum, and Lillard, in a game like this, is this, where the team is just saying, hey, look like they're going to get theirs. We just have to shut everyone else down because the rest of the Portland Trailblazers are like 12 for 39 from the floor. Is this one of those games where you just let them roll and make sure everybody else?
No, you don't want to let them roll because they can beat you. You got to give them a lot of credit. They got it going, and when they get it going like that, they're two of the toughest guys in the league to stop, but at some point we knew that we had to make a defensive stand and that we would get some stops. And it started there in the beginning of that fourth quarter. All of a sudden they weren't getting a bunch of easy stuff. And, quite frankly, they were hitting some tough shots in the first half as well. Damian hit a bunch of floaters. CJ hit tough fadeaways and, tough threes over contested hands. But, we knew that at some point you have to make them miss. You can do all you want and say, oh, man, I got a great contest and he hit a tough shot. But at some point or another, you have to make them miss. And we also know that we continue to play tough defense like that on them and make them take tough shots for the entire 48 minutes. Eventually they'll wear down a little bit and miss a couple.
Draymond, Connor Letourneau, San Francisco Chronicle. Steve talked last week how you're a guy who really needs stakes, and the last few regular season games there weren't really any stakes. How anxious were you getting for the start of the playoffs in this moment?
Very anxious. Like you said, just when you're out there playing for the last few games, and it's no disrespect to anyone, they just felt like preseason games. Like you're not playing for anything. You're just out there trying to get through. It's tough to get going for that, but to start these playoffs, was very excited. We know we got a tough team, coming in here, that a team that quite frankly probably shouldn't be the 8th seed, but they had some bumps in the road early on in the season, and that's why they are where they are. So we know that it's not your typical 1-8 and where you don't have to play your best to win the game and, all those things. We have to put a great effort out there to win these games. So, I was very excited coming into this game just to get that playoff basketball back. It's a completely different season, a completely different feel out there. So, I've been looking forward to it for a couple weeks now.
Draymond, Tim Kawakami, Mercury News. Was there any extra yapping going on? It looked like maybe you and McCollum and Lillard and maybe another couple guys were getting into it. And did McCollum specifically say something to you after you missed that huge dunk attempt? It looked like he was gesturing to you a little bit.
Yeah, he told me I need to do more calf raises. No, but we were talking back and forth the entire game. But that's that's just a part of the game. It's mutual respect both ways. We've played those guys last year in the series, but quite a bit over the last 4 or 5 years where you kind of know them, they know you, but we all know each other off the floor as well. It's not like it's anyone out there being disrespectful towards another. It's simple fun. You talk. He hit a shot, he's talking to us. I hit a shot, I'm talking to them. I missed the dunk, he's telling me I need to do calf raises, and it's good back and forth. It makes the game a lot funner, that's for sure. A lot more fun. How about that?